Level 1, the bicycle. The first thing they ever buy from you is a lap around your own neighborhood. You're 13, the bike is a Huffy with a bent back rim that ticks against the brake pad every third rotation, and you've stopped hearing it the way you've stopped hearing the freight trains behind Ridgeway. You are sitting on the curb outside the laundromat on Bell Street, doing nothing, which is the only thing there is to do here for free. Dice crouches down next to you. Dice is 19. He wears gold-rimmed glasses with no prescription in them and carries a folded newspaper under his arm like a man on his way to a train, and on this block that combination is a resume. Nobody knows what he does with the newspaper. That's the point of the newspaper. You know the house numbers on Kestrel? He asks. You do. You know them the way you know the words to songs you never chose to learn. Ride Kestrel to Bell, Bell to Ridgeway, Ridgeway back around. 4 times between 6 and 10. Tell me which porch lights are on and which cars I ain't seen before. He looks at your bike, not at you. That's it. That's the whole job. So you do it 4 laps. 90 minutes of pedaling past the same 17 houses you have pedaled past your entire life. At 10 o'clock, Dice takes the newspaper out from under his arm and hands you 6 fives folded inside it, and he does it in a way that isn't handing, exactly. It's more like the money was always yours and he was just holding it. $30. Your mother is a home health aide. She makes $10.40 an hour and works 11-hour Saturdays turning grown men over in their beds so they don't get sores. You do the division before you can stop yourself. You will be doing this particular division for the rest of your life, in restaurants, in boardrooms, at your own kitchen table 30 years from now, and it never once gets easier to look at. 90 minutes of coasting downhill just outturned 3 hours of her back. You don't tell her, nobody sits you down and teaches you that rule. It comes installed. Inside the apartment, the numbers are all over the place, and none of them work. The electric bill is $214 past due and printed in red, which is a design choice somebody in an office made on purpose. Rent is $980. Your mother budgets in pencil on the backs of church bulletins because the paper is free, and because pencil can be argued with. On the first Sunday of every month, she sits at the table with the bulletins fanned out and moves a number from one line to another, and then moves it back. And you have watched her do this your entire childhood, without understanding what you were looking at. Now you understand. You are looking at a woman doing absolutely everything right inside a math problem that has no right answer. The second week Dice pays $50. The third week he doesn't ask, he just nods at the bike and you go. Your sister Nia is 4. She thinks the money is a magic trick you learned somewhere. She asks you to do it again. You buy her a slush from the corner store and she holds it with 2 hands like it's a trophy, and something in your chest goes warm and crooked at the same time, and you decide the warm part is the real part. Then Dice says there's a spot coming open. Real hours, real money. He says it the way men in other neighborhoods announce a promotion. You say yes before he finishes. You think you just got hired. You didn't. You filled out an application, and they already read it, and the only question on it was whether you'd say yes for $30. Level 2, the vestibule. You are 15 and you work indoors now, which everybody treats like a step up. It's the building on Bell with the buzzer that's been broken since before you were born, so the front door never locks, so the vestibule is technically outside and technically inside and legally somebody else's problem. 8 tiles, a radiator that isn't connected to anything, a row of mailboxes with 3 doors hanging open like mouths, 3 in the afternoon to 11 at night, $120 flat, rain or shine, and the rain matters because customers don't melt but you do. The vestibule runs on rules nobody writes down, and the first rule is that everything here belongs to somebody, and none of that somebody is you. Not the building, not the product, not even the shift you're standing in. You learn the choreography inside a week. Money and work never ride in the same pocket, never the same hands, never the same minute. The count is sacred and the count is not a suggestion. Short once is a conversation. Short twice is a different kind of conversation, held by different people, in a different tone. You learn the block's other clock, the one that has nothing to do with hours. The same sedan going by twice inside 10 minutes. A man jogging in shoes that have never been jogged in. A utility van with no ladder on the rack. You develop an animal's ear for engines, and 30 years from now, you will still turn your head at a certain kind of idol without knowing why. There's a man out here everybody calls Beau. Beaumont, on the one piece of mail he still gets. He is 54. He sweeps the parking lot in front of the chicken place for tips and knows the first name of every person who has ever stood where you're standing. He is funny. He is genuinely funny, the kind of funny that makes teenagers forget to be cool. He rents a room by the week above Lambert's bar and has rented it by the week for as long as anyone can date. Everybody out here is kind to Beau. Nobody wants to be Beau. It takes you almost a year to understand that Beau is not a character on this block. Beau is a weather report, and it's been playing on a loop the entire time you've been standing here not listening. 4 doors down on Ridgeway, there's a garage with a hand-painted sign that reads Craft Moving and Storage, since 1971, and when you were 12, Aussie Craft paid you $40 and a turkey sandwich to help carry boxes down 2 flights on a Saturday. He knows your mother's name. He knows what you're doing now, because everyone does, because this place manufactures exactly one product locally, and it's information. One evening, he's pulling the bay door down, and he says it without any ceremony at all. $10.75 an hour, Saturdays to start. When you turn 18, I'll teach you a box truck, and it goes up. You almost laugh in his face. You make that in an hour standing still with your back against a radiator that isn't connected to anything. Ozzy doesn't blink. Offer's got no expiration date on it, he says. Everything else around here does. You walk home, the bay door rattles down behind you, and that sound follows you for about a week, and then it doesn't, and you think that means it's gone. You thought you were from here. You are only now finding out who you rent it from. Level 3, the tab. At 16, Dice uses a word you have never heard in a classroom, and he uses it like he's doing you a favor. Here's how the favor works. They hand you $1,000 worth. You hand back $700 by Sunday. Whatever's left is yours to keep. Move it clean and you're clearing $300 a week without ever standing a shift for somebody else again. At 16, that's a fortune. That's the brochure, and everybody on this block can recite the brochure. Here's the fine print, which nobody prints. The $700 is due no matter what. Robbed, due. Arrested, due. Slow week, due. 4 days of a cruiser parked at the mouth of the street like lawn furniture, due. Everything that can go wrong goes wrong on your side of the paper, and everything that goes right gets split. You have just been made the only person in this entire company with a guaranteed loss and an optional profit. Out here, credit is not a favor. It's a collar with a very long leash, and you are encouraged to run. You watch what it does to a kid everybody calls Sparrow. He's 15. He comes up 400 short in February, and nobody touches him. Nobody has to. They just move the decimal. His 4 becomes 8. The 8 rides on his next 4 packages. By the middle of June, Sparrow isn't working anymore. The tab is working Sparrow, 12 hours a day, and he has the eyes of a man paying down something that eats faster than he can feed it. You have seen those exact eyes before. Across your own kitchen table, on grown men holding a shut-off notice, doing the church bulletin math with a pencil, same collar, different color leash. So you get disciplined the way only frightened people get disciplined. You never touch your own supply, not once, not out of virtue, but out of terror. You count 3 times. And you pay early, Saturday night instead of Sunday afternoon, every single week, because you have worked out that this economy keeps exactly 1 score, and it is 2 questions long. Does he pay? Does he pay on time? You pay early for 11 months, and the word gets around, and the word turns out to be worth more than the money. By 17, you're clearing $600-700 a week. You buy a Grand AM with 140,000 miles on it for $2,800 cash, and it goes in your cousin Rochelle's name because your name can't hold anything. The phone plan is in Rochelle's name. The insurance is in Rochelle's name. If Rochelle stops answering the phone one day, you own nothing on this earth but the clothes you have on. This is your first real lesson in wealth, though the vocabulary won't reach you for another decade. There is a difference between having money and owning things. You have money, you own nothing. That is not an accident of your situation. That is the architecture, and it was drawn up long before you got here. Your mother finds a rubber-banded roll in your jacket on laundry day. She doesn't shout. She sets it on the kitchen table between the 2 of you like it's evidence at a hearing, and she asks one question. Whose is this? You tell her it's from Kraft's. She looks at you for a long, long time. Then Ozzy won't mind writing it down for me, she says, and she stands up and walks out of her own kitchen. The roll sits on the table all night, and you learn that money can make a room colder. She never takes a dollar of it, not once, not ever, not through anything that's coming, and a great deal is coming. Level 4, the scale. You are 19, and you learn both meanings of the word in the same year. Your workday ends the same way every night, alone, blinds down, counting. You run a line now, 3 younger guys, 1 phone, a rhythm you built yourself out of nothing but paying attention. The phone rings 50 times a day, and every ring is worth money. By Sunday night, the week has grossed $7,400, and after the re-up and the payroll and the constant small bleed of doing business in a business with no receipts, about $2,600 of it stays with you. You can count $5,000 in soft, worn bills in under 6 minutes. It is the only certification you hold. Here is what nobody tells you about the money, and it is the single most important thing about the money. It doesn't work. You have more of it than anyone you know, and it cannot perform one single grown-up function. It can't open an account without questions. It can't sign a lease because landlords want pay stubs and your industry doesn't issue them. It can't build credit. It can't buy anything with a title on it. It can't be put anywhere and left alone. Your landlord charges you $250 over market because you pay cash, and because a man who pays cash can't complain to anybody about anything, ever. You start calling it the cash tax in your head. You pay it on the apartment, you pay it on the car, you pay it on repairs, on furniture, on respect. It is the most expensive discount in America. So the money does the only thing fast money knows how to do, which is leave fast. $400 sneakers, a chain you wear twice. Everybody eats when you're out and you pick up every check every time, and you tell yourself that's generosity, and half of it is, and the other half is that $92,000 sitting behind 4 different baseboards is a problem you can only solve $80 at a time. Then there's the other ledger, the one that isn't optional. One of your guys gets picked up 8 blocks off the strip in March. Bail is $12,500. The lawyer wants a $6,000 retainer before she'll say good morning to you. You pay both, partly because that's the code, and mostly because a man facing years by himself becomes a man with stories to tell. Legal fees, you learn, are not an emergency in this business. They're a subscription. Your mother has stopped asking where the money comes from. That is so much worse than the asking. The questions were a rope with 2 ends, and one day she quietly set hers down. Nia is 10. She tells her class her brother is a businessman. Somebody tells you this like it's a cute story. It sits in you like a swallowed coin for 20 years. You sleep in the back bedroom because it has 2 ways out. You will check for 2 ways out of every room you enter for the rest of your life, including rooms with chandeliers in them, decades from now, with your name on the building. Dice is 24 now. He has a daughter, a case he won't discuss, and a chain that is genuinely beautiful. You catch yourself thinking it looks like the kind of thing people wear in the photograph everybody uses afterward. That thought comes from the part of you that has been running a quieter count all along, because that's the thing about counting every night. Eventually you start counting other things. Sirens per shift, original faces still on the strip, how long anybody above you has actually, verifiably lasted. $92,000, 4 hiding spots. Not one object on this earth with your name on it. You tell yourself that's freedom. You are 8 months from learning the real word. Level 5, the roll call. The word is exposure, and you learn it the way you learn everything out here, which is in pieces, out of order, from people who can't tell you anymore. In March, a boy named Emmanuel gets killed on a Tuesday afternoon 4 blocks east. He's 17. When the whole story finally reaches you, the dispute underneath it comes out to $175 and a scratched car door. You run that math for a month, not figuratively. Actually, at night, with the blinds down, the way you run everything, it does not balance. There is no exchange rate anywhere in this world at which it balances. And every single person you know keeps making change anyway, all day, every day, like the till is fine. In June, Dice's case lands. 16 years. You visit once because he asks. Through the glass he looks smaller than the glasses ever let him look, and near the end of the hour you ask him what he'd do different, and you're expecting a strategy, because you're 20 and you still think there's one. All of it, he says, that's the answer, all of it. The guard calls time. Then September. There's a run that needs making. Routine, 90 minutes, the kind you've done 60 times and it's yours. Except that on Thursday afternoon you get stopped on Delaware for a suspended license. A nothing, a paper problem, a $180 ticket you've been cursing since February, and they impound the Grand AM and put you in county for 36 hours over a court date you never showed for. So Tree takes the run. Trevor Nash, your best friend since the 4th grade, who keeps a page torn out of a community college catalog folded into his wallet, the diesel technology program, the phone number circled in blue pen, because that's the plan, he says. 2 years, a certificate, a bay with his name over it. They stop him on the Lorraine overpass at 11 at night. He's 21. He has 1 prior. 12 years and 4 months. The entire difference between his life and yours, from that night until the end of both of them, is a traffic ticket you spent 8 months complaining about. The best thing that ever happened to you was $180 of bad luck. His mother doesn't look at you at the sentencing, or she can't. You never find out which because you never once ask. What you do is set up the only payment plan that exists, $100 a month on his commissary, a letter every few weeks, and you take the folded catalog page out of his room before his mother packs the rest into boxes, and you don't examine why you take it. You just know it can't go in a box. After that you run the roll call. One night, blinds down, no money on the table. You count the men who were standing on this strip the day you started. 13, including you. 3 are dead, 5 are inside. 2 are gone in the way where you don't ask. One is Bo, 57 now, still sweeping the chicken place lot, still funny, still renting by the week. And 0 are rich, not one. 7 years inside this economy and you have never met a rich old man in it. Not one. Not a rumor you could trace back to a name. You finally see the business from altitude, and it's very simple and very ugly. It is a machine that converts young men into money, and the money doesn't even sleep in this zip code. You have been calling yourself a businessman. Nia was right and wrong in the same sentence. You were never the business. You were the inventory that could walk itself to work. There is a detective now who says your name pleasantly when he cruises past. Just your name, like a man confirming an appointment. Somewhere there's a file, and it is gaining weight, and you are the one feeding it. At night you still do the count. It's just not the money anymore. It's the exits. Level 6, the receipt. You can't quit the street. Quitting implies it was ever a job, with a manager and a 2 weeks notice and a last day. What you can do, maybe, if you're early enough and boring enough about it, is settle your account. The man everyone answers to is called Foy. He's 57 and he holds court in the back office of a check cashing place on Delaware, which is a joke he has never once acknowledged out loud. He wears a hearing aid, and when he's finished listening to you, he reaches up and turns it off, and that is the entire meeting adjourned. You bring everything you owe down to the last dollar, plus the phone, which is the part that matters. You lay it out flat, the detective, the file, the 36 hours in county and what it cost the person who wasn't in county. You say the sentence you rehearsed in the car, you're hot, heat spreads, and a man in a cell makes nobody hear a dime. Foy counts the money without any hurry at all, twice, licking his thumb like a bank teller in 1962. Then he looks up. You know why you get to walk. You wait. Because you asked, nobody asks. He puts the phone in a desk drawer the way you'd return a library book. They get sloppy or they get greedy, and then it stops being my decision, and I'm not a man who enjoys decisions that ain't mine. Then at the door, you never owned that line, understand. You were renting it, same as you've been renting everything out here since you was on that bicycle. Word gets around inside a week, because word is still the only thing this place manufactures locally. 11 days into your retirement, somebody kicks the door of the apartment on bell while you're out and finds the spot behind the baseboard in the back bedroom. The biggest of the four, $19,000, gone in an afternoon. The street charges an exit fee. It just doesn't post the amount in advance. You know 2 of the 3 names inside a month. You do nothing at all. Getting it back would cost more than the money, and that is the last piece of street arithmetic you will ever run in your life. Some debts you just eat. You eat this one standing in your own kitchen at 2 in the morning, and it goes down easier than you expected, and that's how you know you're already gone. What's left is about $44,000 in cash, and here comes the joke nobody warned you about. You always assumed the hard part of money was making it. The hard part is converting it. Every real door in the adult world, whether it's a lease, a loan, a license, a business, or a life, asks one polite question at the threshold. Where did this come from? And you do not have an answer that any form on earth will accept. So the money that nearly cost you your entire life gets spent like a 14-year-old's allowance. Rent, groceries, a mattress, a winter coat, $60 at a time for the better part of 2 years. Fast money's final insult is how slowly it forces you to spend it. On a Monday morning in April, 23 years old, you walk up Ridgeway and stand in front of a hand-painted sign that has needed repainting since 1994. Aussie Craft is grayer, thicker through the middle, and there's a click in his left knee you can hear from the office door. He looks at you for a good while, long enough to cover everything the 2 of you are going to skip permanently, starting now. 11:75, he says. 6 a.m. Bring gloves, I ain't buying you gloves. The offer didn't expire. Level 7, the time clock. Your first week is 40 hours, and the gross is $470, and the check, after everything the government wants, is $391.60. You have held 20 times that in a single rubber band, in the dark, behind a baseboard. This is the most important money of your life, and it is not close. Because this money exists, it has a trail. It has your name spelled correctly across the top of it, printed by a machine, filed somewhere by a person who doesn't know you. It can walk into a bank in broad daylight. So do you. 23 years old, opening a first checking account, palms sweating like it's a traffic stop, waiting for somebody to come out from a back room and tell you no. The teller is 20 and bored and chewing gum and has absolutely no idea she is performing a baptism. They tell you your credit score is nothing, no history, a blank, and standing on the sidewalk afterward you laugh out loud alone because nothing is still infinitely better than where the other economy starts a man, below 0 in somebody else's book, wearing a number that grows overnight while you sleep. Secured card $300 limit, your own money loaned back to you with a straight face. You use it for gas and nothing else, and you pay it off every Saturday. Early, always early, because you already know exactly how reputation compounds. You just never had anywhere to file it before. And here is the part nobody expects, least of all you. You are good at this. You are frighteningly good at this. The block, it turns out, was a business school with a body count. You can walk through a 3-bedroom apartment and call the truck size within one. You can read a customer's face in the doorway and know which job is going to run 2 hours long and which one is going to try not to pay. You catch a crew guy skimming the fuel card in 9 days flat because you invented that rhythm when you were 17, and you don't fire him with a speech. You fire him at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday and go do the route yourself. Ozzy teaches you the rest out of a spiral binder he has kept since 1988. Deadhead miles, the difference between a bid and a guess. Why the third estimate of the day is always the one you get wrong, because by then you're tired and you're rounding. Why you never, ever quote a stairs job over the phone. Long haul makes the headlines and local pays the rent, and storage is the milk. Barely any margin on it at all, but it brings the whole city through your door twice a year and they come back for the trucks. The company does about $23,000 a month and keeps around $3,400 of it. You learn to feel that ratio in your hands the way you once learned to feel a count. Year 1, you get keys. Year 2, the dispatch board. Year 4, Ozzy's shoulder goes, and then his wife's diagnosis comes back the wrong way, and then a daughter in Tampa decides she wants a father instead of a garage. He names his price standing at the dispatch board on a Wednesday morning, flat, like he's quoting a 2-bedroom across town. $185,000. You have $16,400 saved clean out of paychecks, and you understand now, completely, in your body, that the 16.4 outweighs every rubber band you ever hid in a wall. He takes it as a down payment and holds the note himself. $1,600 a month, 10 years, his name on your paper. Halfway through signing, your pen stops because you finally recognize the shape of the thing in your hand. Take now, pay later, your name on the risk. It's a tab. It is the exact same instrument, drawn up by the same species of mind, and you have held one before. Except that the man on the other side of this table is actively hoping you win. Except that if you have a bad month, you can say the words, "I'm having a bad month," out loud, in a sentence to his face, and the number will not move. Except that if he dies, the paper stays what it says it is. That is the entire difference between the two economies you have lived in. It took you 27 years to see it, and it fits on one line. The first big thing you buy with clean money is a washer and dryer, delivered to your mother's apartment on a Saturday. She has been walking to the laundromat on Bell for 22 years. You brace yourself for the old ritual, the money finding its way quietly back into your jacket pocket by Tuesday. No note, no argument. She puts one hand flat on the lid and leaves it there. "This one I'll keep," she says. "Level 8, the name." The vinyl lettering costs $340 for the pair of doors and takes a man in a van about 20 minutes. You stand in the yard afterward and look at your own last name in white on a blue truck panel for considerably longer than a grown man should stand in a yard looking at anything. Because half of everything you ever owned lived under somebody else's name. The Grand AM was Rochelle's. The phone was Rochelle's. The apartment belonged to a man who charged you $250 over market for the privilege of being untraceable. You are 31 years old, and this is the first object you have ever owned that admits, out loud in public, at 40 miles an hour, that it's yours. In the third year, the landlord raises the rent on the garage 24%, and you sit with the ledger at 2 in the morning and start laughing alone in the office, because you finally see it. You have spent your entire life on corners, working them, fleeing them, watching men die over them, and you have never once, not for a single day, owned one. The building is $290,000. The bank says yes. The bank says yes to you. The loan officer shakes your hand and asks about your weekend, and driving home you think about a 19-year-old with $92,000 behind 4 baseboards who could not have opened a Christmas club account at that same branch. The bank did not get kinder. Your paperwork got legible. Then 11 patient years, and patience turns out to be nothing more than discipline serving a longer sentence. The lot next door, the old freight yard across the river, 19 trucks, 34 people on real payroll, with taxes and dental paid Friday before noon, on time, every time, without exception, because you carry a forensic memory of what a short envelope feels like from underneath. The wire for the 4th building clears on a Tuesday afternoon at 2:14. You are standing in a parking lot when the phone buzzes, because you are always standing in a parking lot when it matters. Nothing changes. Same sky. Same gulls working the same dumpster behind the same chicken place. Somewhere between a Bentram Huffy and this exact minute, you became worth more than the strip that raised you. A little over $4.2 million on paper, entirely, gloriously, boringly on paper. Your mother's house has $47,000 left on it, one cashier's check. She frames the payoff letter and hangs it in the hallway like a diploma, which is precisely what it is. Nia is 26, has a nursing degree, runs your dispatch office 3 days a week, and corrects your grammar in front of the crew. 12 years and 4 months after a stop on the Lorraine overpass, you're parked outside a gate at 7 in the morning, when Tree walks out squinting at a son he hasn't been allowed to look at properly in over a decade. In your pocket, there's a key to Bay 3 and a page torn from a community college catalog, gone soft as cloth, a phone number circled in blue ink by a 17-year-old. You kept it, he says. It was collateral, you say, which is a lie. It was a promise. He sits for his diesel certification, 14 months later. Every truck in that fleet goes through his hands now, and he charges you shop rate, and you pay it, and neither of you has ever once discussed why. Not everything rounds up. Dice comes home at 41 to a daughter who calls another man dad, and you give him a chair on dispatch, and some weeks he shows and most weeks he doesn't, and you keep the chair open anyway. Bo dies at 61 in a rented room above Lambert's, and 11 people come, and you pay for all of it and stand at the back and say nothing to anybody. There's a ledger you will never balance, $175 and a car door, 36 hours in county, a woman at a sentencing who didn't look up. You stopped trying to balance it years ago. Some debts don't get paid back. They get paid sideways in the dark, to strangers, in amounts nobody will ever thank you for. 9 men off that strip have worn your company's shirt over the years. 4 stayed. 1 runs the second yard. The rest went back, and you keep their applications in the top drawer of the desk anyway, and you have never explained that to anyone who works for you. The habits stay, 2 ways out of every room, including the ones with chandeliers. You count the drawer yourself some nights, under 6 minutes. Some certifications don't expire. You keep a folded 100 behind your license like a fire extinguisher. You cannot drive past a kid on a bike at dusk without your chest doing something complicated that you have no plans to describe to a professional. Then it's a Thursday in October, and through the office window, past your name on the glass, you see him. 13, maybe 14. Bike laid over in the grass strip by the curb, back wheel still turning a little. Elbows on his knees, doing quiet arithmetic in his head, and you know the equation by heart because it hasn't changed in 30 years. A bill printed in red, a tired mother, a refrigerator with a margin of error of exactly 0. A young man in clean sneakers crouches down beside him and says something short. The boy laughs, then listens, then nods. Then the bills, it's always the bills. It's never a speech. You could cross the lot. Some days, some kids, you do. A shirt, a schedule, $16 an hour, a door that stays open, and a man who says the offer has no expiration date on it. Today you stand behind glass with your own name on it, in your building, on your corner, and you watch. Because you know exactly what $30 sounds like to a boy doing his mother's arithmetic, and there is no speech on this earth that outbids it in the moment. Tonight he'll count it twice under the covers and feel, for the first time in his life, like the numbers finally work. He thinks he just got hired. He filled out an application. They already read it. And the price isn't printed anywhere on it, but he'll pay it, and he'll pay it in full, and he'll pay it early, because that's the only way this economy has ever kept score.